Hi there everyone, it's Rob in Rob's Apartment Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making a variation on my beef stroganoff. So doing a bit of research into the recipe, I found that the early versions of the beef stroganoff were beef cubes that were marinated in mustard and bouillon. We're going to do ours a little bit differently. I'm going to be making it first off with ground turkey instead of ground beef. So it's going to be a turkey stroganoff. I'm going to be serving it with some potato wedges, which we will season with paprika, and it's going to be great. Okay, so here we have our potato wedges. I've got them in some cold water with a splash of lemon juice in there. So the cold water will wash the starch off the surface of the potatoes and keep them from turning black. And the lemon juice will react with the starch and keep that starch from oxidizing in the water as well. So now what we're going to do is get them all cut. Just going to rinse them off and put them on some paper towel to dry, and then we'll get them onto our cookie sheet. Okay, so here's our potatoes all dried off and rinsed and ready to go. We're actually going to throw a little bit of oil on here too, give them a toss, and that'll help them crisp up a little bit. Okay, there we are. We've got our potatoes lined up on our cookie sheet, which I've lined with tin foil and given a little light coat of oil, and given the potatoes a nice sprinkle of salt, pepper, and paprika. And we're going to put them into our oven, which I have preheated at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, for our next step, just going to brown up some onions and some mushrooms in our cast iron skillet. So I've just got these halved and sliced, and we're just going to get those browned up. Okay, so with the pan nice and hot, put the onions in and the mushrooms, and I just added a quarter of a cup of water just to let some steam happen there and get those vegetables starting to soften up. And we're going to let those brown. It'll take about 10 minutes or so. Okay, we're back. It's been about 10 minutes now. These are starting to brown up nicely. You can still use another 5 minutes or so. So I'm just going to give these a quick stir and then we'll get back to it. Alright, these are browned up enough for my liking here, so I'm just going to take these off, put them in a bowl, and we'll set that aside, put them back in later, and we'll get our turkey starting to fry up. Alright, so this is our browned up mushrooms and onions, and we're just going to let that sit in the bowl, and we'll get the turkey on. Alright, I'm going to put this turkey in. It's still frozen. I find it stays together a lot better if you cook it from frozen as opposed to letting it thaw out. It can get kind of mushy. Alright, we have our turkey simmering away in the pan here. It's been about 5 minutes here now. We're just going to flip these over and brown the other side before we start breaking it up into little smaller pieces. Alright, so as you can see, we got a little bit of color on the one side, and we're just going to try and get the other side to about that same color. Alright, so we got our meat cooked all the way through here. Now if you get a lot of stuff sticking to your pan, you can take the meat out of the pan and deglaze and start your sauce without anything in there. This is going pretty good, and there's not a whole lot stuck to the pan, so I'm actually just going to deglaze and start the sauce with everything together in the pan. So I'm just going to add the mushrooms and the onions back in. Okay, so with the onions and the mushrooms back in the pan, we're going to start the deglazing process. Easiest way to do that, get some vinegar and some water and just give that a good stir, and you can just scrape the bottom and get every little bit of flavor out of the pan. Alright, so I've melted and stirred in about 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just going to add some mustard. Okay, so I've stirred in some whole grain Dijon mustard. You can use just regular yellow prepared mustard or any type of mustard you like. If you like a nice sweet one, like a sweet and spicy or something like that, anything works.
Okay, so as you can see here, we've got mustard, a bit of water, and some butter sauteing away here.
Alright, so I've let our sauce simmer away for a couple of minutes. Now I'm just going to reduce the heat and add a couple of heaping tablespoons of sour cream.
Okay, so we're just going to stir that in and get the sauce nice and creamy. Okay, so this process has taken about 45 minutes or so. Our potatoes are really done, so we're taking them out. Alright, so we've served our turkey stroganoff up there with our potato wedges. Just finished them with a little sprinkle of basil, and it's looking delicious.
Okay, well that was fantastic. Thanks Frank for the suggestion. If anybody has any questions, I'll have the whole recipe posted on the website. If you like the video, click like below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for future updates and other videos.